Okay. So, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us for today evening. Along with me, I have Padmanabhan, and despite, as you can see, his New Year busy schedule, he made out time for 30 minutes, and very grateful for that. Just a brief introduction for Padmanabhan. So, Padmanabhan recently he exited from Vogo. Prior to that, and Vogo he founded along with another, I would say, batchmate of mine from IIM Ahmedabad. And then they ran it, I would say, successfully through various ups and downs. So during the course of this session, we will see all that. He would share his story. Prior to Vogo, he worked in a proper corporate organization, Lazada Group, based out of Malaysia, then Zoomcar, and then Flipkart, as well as Amazon. So he has been into various kind of organizations, and I would welcome him on this session. Thank you, Padmanabhan. So going
Thank you,
forward,
sir.
if you could just talk about what led you to choose a foreign education destination?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. Thank you for coming into the live stream, and thank you, Siddhartha, for inviting me. Been very kind. To give a background, Siddhartha and I were batchmates at ESSEC in Paris. Uh, so I wow, it's been so many years since I've uh,
Yeah,
finished my graduation. I was a 2008 to
15 years.
2010 MBA. Yeah, 2008 to 2010 MBA graduation program at ESSEC. I did MBA right out of my engineering. So I finished my engineering and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And I found a natural inclination towards management. And since I wanted to do it immediately, I was looking at Europe as a destination because there was a lot of good masters in management and MBA programs in Europe. So that is one of the reasons why I actually chose Europe, given that they were open to taking people without experience. That is one prime reason. I think the second reason was I was also um, keen on an international exposure. I wanted to go outside of India and I wanted to learn how it is to be, because I've never been out of Chennai. Not even forget like the country. I've never gone out of Chennai for anything throughout my 21 years of my life. I studied in Chennai. I lived in Chennai. I was born in Chennai. I did my engineering in Chennai. So I had no absolute exposure outside of Chennai. I didn't even know that how another city like a Delhi or a Bangalore or a Mumbai would look like, right? So I've never been anywhere. So it was actually a little bit challenging for me to think about going outside. But somehow I made up my mind, saying that I have never gone anywhere, and I have to absolutely go out of the country and try to do something and like try to figure out my life and try to figure out a career for myself. So that was one of the primary motivations to like look outside of India. Uh, and the second thing was, as I said, Europe, for multiple reasons. One is that for people who did not have an experience, there were a lot of programs there, and Europe has always been a fascination as well, right? Like Europe is a fascination for everybody even today. So, from a personal point of view, also it was a fascination for me to go to Europe. And the last thing was there were a lot of scholarships available. See, I come from a very middle class family, right? My parents were government employees, and pretty much middle class life. So scholarship plays a very important role for people like me to get into these kind of universities. So I was looking at a lot of scholarship or funded programs, and I found that Europe had a lot of options. Every university had some sort of a tie-up, or the government had a scholarship, or the chambre de commerce in, like for example in France there were a lot of chambre de commerce, and they had some sort of scholarships for people. So there was a lot of what do you say, incentives to go and figure out an education. So these are the reasons why I shortlisted Europe to go to, and specifically France and ESSEC was because I had a scholarship. I got a scholarship as well, and that was one of the reasons why I decided that I had to like go there. It became I mean, ESSEC is also the top college in France and for Europe and Europe as well. So having ESSEC in my hand and also a scholarship pushed me in that direction, saying that it was a natural choice. So these are three, four top reasons to choose an international over let's say domestic, right? Like being in India, and ha- yeah. And in the hindsight, I don't know if I answered the question, but in the hindsight, I think it was one of the best decisions I've ever made because I was a very what do you say? Introverted kid, like a kid who lacked a lot of confidence. When I was 2021, I had a lot of confidence issues. I couldn't like just go and like change things for myself,
Sure.
right? But being in international waters and the kind of exposure, I think that really set my life on the course. I don't know if I would have found that anywhere else.
Sure, sure. No, thanks, Padmanabhan, for all those insights. So, as you mentioned that you had not been outside Chennai. So, when you reached France, Paris particularly, how was your acclimatization experience? What challenges did you face in terms of acclimatizing to the environment?
Yeah, so yeah, I think it was a complete cultural shock for me when I reached Paris. I still remember the first day when I reached Paris. I had to go to Sergi. ESSEC was in Sergi Lo. So from Paris, they obviously ESSEC took care of most of the things, right? So I landed, then I had a taxi, and the taxi took me to Sergi Lo. But once I reached Sergi Lo, I figured that they gave me a room. It was a Sunday. I still remember it was a Sunday. So I reached on a Sunday, and then Sunday, like there's nobody works, right? So when I reached the residence, there was nobody to like tell me anything what I should do. And then I found somebody who said that, oh, you're a new student. There's a key. Your room. You'll find your list on the room. You just get the key and go to your room. So I took the key. I
Wow.
went to the uh, and then I was inside this room. It was pretty cold. I didn't know how to switch on the heater. I was very, very cold. So I don't know how the heater also looked, right? Like I I, I
Yeah.
thought that was heater, but I didn't know how to switch it on. Somehow I figured something, and I was very hungry, and I didn't know what to do. So I didn't know where the shops were. It was Sunday night, and I was just roaming around, and then I found this guy, and when I saw him, I was very sure he was Indian, and we had all
Okay.
communicated on emails before. So because he was wearing like a proper shirt and a formal
Okay.
pant, and he was wearing
Okay.
slippers. And when I saw him, okay,
Okay.
this is our guy. And, and that guy was none other than Srinivas. So,
Oh,
so
oh, he was Srinivas. Oh
yeah.
my goodness. So
Yeah.
Srinivas, if you are listening to it, we'll soon have you here.
So I was
Okay.
like, okay, this is our guy. And then when I went, and then he was like, oh, hi, Padu, how are you? And then we spoke, and then we had more guys, Indians, and then we met a senior, Sahaj Karke. There's a senior of us from the hotel management batch. So I went, had some dinner, dal chawal stuff. Then we slept off, and the next day is when the actual exposure started happening. So I went to the supermarket. I went here. I went there. I got so it was a complete. It's a completely different culture, right? Like I didn't.
Agree.
I mean, to be honest, I didn't know that like this is how people interact. Like every small thing, right? Like they just kiss on the cheeks, for
Agreed.
example.
Agreed.
But the first time somebody
Agreed.
came to kiss me on the cheek, I was taken aback. I was like, "What are you
Yeah.
doing?" Like,
Agreed.
so yeah. I mean, like a lot of things. I think every small thing. For example, French, right? Like, I
Yeah.
I found it like I was like impossible, like because I tried to study French before I left here, right? And I thought, oh, I studied some basics, so I will go and manage. Obviously not. Like they were speaking fluent level of French, and I had like no clue what was happening. So I was supposed to be the most French speaking guy in the first 15 days. So everybody relied on me to order, and then I would end up asking for vegetarian for people, and then they will say something, I'll say that's vegetarian, and then some fish will turn up, and then people will be like, this is
Okay.
vegetarian, right?
Okay.
Like a lot of things, right? uh, every
Yeah. So
small thing.
interesting.
Yeah,
Agreed. So
absolutely.
just to add to Padmanabhan's experience, when I went on exchange to ESSEC, my experience was completely up also very, very interesting. In India, usually when we go to the shopping stores, when we buy, we never do the greetings. It is we take it for granted. When I went there in the supermarket, the guy was looking up and down at me. Okay, from which uncultured place this fellow has come? Then slowly I also learned it. I would say those are
Absolutely.
very some few positive.
Very much. They will wish you when you get into a lift. When you get out of the lift, they will hold the door for you, no matter where. Even in like metro station, when you open the door and go out, the guy who's opening the door will hold the door open for the next guy, and then they'll keep continuing that. Right? Like it's a cultural thing, and I think these are the things I also picked up. It was also a gentlemanly thing to do, right? Like just to hold the door or like
Agreed,
wish someone, greet someone. Yeah, I think like phenomenal things in terms of culture, right? Like, so you learn a lot of these things.
agreed. Agreed, agreed. So, me, for the sake of audience, when I went there, Padmanabhan and Srinivas, of course, they're already there. And then we went on Chinese as a student body. We did a lot of activities in terms of setting up this Indian student body. I was there for a short while. So, what was that experience, Padmanabhan, and what happened thereafter? What all that led to?
The
What
student
kind of
body,
immersion?
the
Yes,
student
yes, the
body.
Indian student.
Oh, so
Yeah, the Indian.
yeah, so yeah. So we set up something called as ESSEC India, and so we had set up that ESSEC India. It was already in some form, but we were the early. I think our batch had the maximum number of Indians till that point in time, right? Like till 2008, there weren't so many Indians at that point in time, and 2008 was when we had so many Indians from different parts of the country, and we also had the hotel management, the hospitality management batch as well. So we set up the ESSEC India group there, and we carried out a lot of cultural activities. Like for example, Holi, we celebrated Holi with a lot of people, and they all loved it, right? Like the colors all over. We put rangoli everywhere, and we had colors, we had food, we had Diwali celebrations. Where all of us made food, and also in every one of the ESSEC events, ESSEC India represented by selling something, right? Like food or like telling people about India, and like we even had language classes. There were some people who were interested in learning Hindi, so we had a like a Hindi French language exchange. So we used to like
Oh,
teach them Hindi, and then we learn some language in return. For example, a bunch of things I remember, right? Like. As language
sure.
sessions, as culture sessions also. Like we used to tell them about which city to visit in India, what to do. Like because we were from different parts, and we used to tell them from which city. I still remember one of the guys. He was a German who visited India in the break. He said, I'm so impressed with whatever you're saying. I need to visit. He went and he came back and he said, what? I discovered this particular thing of eating with the hand, and I felt it very
Okay.
fascinating. And I started eating with my hand. He spent like almost a month traveling across India. And he said, by the end of it, I started eating with my hand, everything, even food, rice, everything. And I felt that there is like this sort of a connection with the food when you eat it with the hand versus when you eat it with a spoon. And like at the point, I felt really like, you don't think about these things, right? You don't think about that we're
Agreed.
eating with our hand. And when they said, I also realized that, oh, there is some connection when you eat it with the hand versus when you eat it with the spoon, right? Like these are all small cultural things that you pick up. And also the other thing is that um, we had a lot of like people from different countries. Like we had all the people from, like for example, Morocco, Libya, Lebanon, China, though obviously China, Japan, other countries in Europe, right? Like Germany, Belgium, Spain. So exchanges and also normal students as well, right? So you like South Americans, right? Argentinians, Chileans, Brazilians. So we
Agreed.
had like all of these guys coming in, going out, coming in and going out. So you learn a little bit of everything from everywhere, and in some way, even now, right? Like somewhere these guys are all connected. Say we are connected in LinkedIn, for example. At some time, somebody will say something like, "Oh, you did this great," or like whatever. Some exchange is going on. So pretty
Agreed.
fascinating, right? Like, and all of these guys are doing
Agreed.
really
Agreed.
well after so many years, right? So it's really good.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I would say, even from my perspective, it was first, but truly international exposure, multi cultural setup, individuals from multi countries. So, Paddu, post you're finishing your academic program, how did you go about finding employment opportunities? How difficult was it? And if you could just share some experiences on that front.
Absolutely. So this was the time when there was the. So I joined ESSEC when we had the financial crisis, 2008. If you would remember, we had a huge worldwide
Yeah.
economic crisis, and post that it was really really hard for people to find jobs. Like I was trying to find an internship, and I found it really difficult to find an internship. And somehow all of us managed, right? Like it was not like none of us actually didn't manage, right? All of us managed. It was difficult. We managed. And when I finished my graduation, I couldn't find a job immediately. I found an apprenticeship. It was sort of an apprenticeship converted to a job, right? So I found an apprenticeship, and all of my batchmates found something or the other, right? It wasn't like a happy scenario or a golden scenario where we were all landing in like lucrative jobs and all of these things. But given the situation at that point in time, given how work permits were very very difficult at that point in time, we managed to find decent opportunities, I would say. And I think it's about how much effort you put in life, right? Like see, even if you do anywhere, you can do anywhere, right? Like you
Agreed.
can do your graduation anywhere in India. It's you will like it is proportional to the effort, and every time you have to put effort, right? Even when you're working somewhere or you're doing something, you have to put maximum effort. If you slack, you go down, right? Like, and that going down will be very very visible. That curve will be very very visible. And I think all of us, it was good in some way that we had to put a lot of effort early on in our career to find the suitable match. Like for example, I was in a company called Air Liquid. It was a company which was selling industrial gases, so I was doing sales for industrial gases, right? So you have to go and sell industrial gases, but that was not my fit, right? Like it was not something that I enjoyed doing. But in that process, I started talking to a lot more people. I decided that I cannot, this is something that I don't like, and I don't want to probably like sit in this. So let me speak to as many number of people, develop my network, develop my connections, and probably I'll find something. And that is what I did, right? I started talking to a lot of people. Eventually, I got referred into Amazon, and that was also because of Vas was working in Amazon. Then I got into Amazon.
Oh,
Then, yeah, so in Amazon I was but anyway, I wasn't feeling that like pump, right? Like I wanted to really do a lot of things, but Amazon was an established company. And then I was talking to some of my friends, and I found that there's Flipkart in India, which is the emerging Amazon. This is 2011. So then I started talking to Flipkart folks. I understood a lot about it, and then I was like, okay, this is a good move for me. Even if it is going back to India, it is fine. I wanted to do something exciting, and also like something that I wanted to do always is entrepreneurship. I wanted to start something of my own. So at ESSEC, I had actually incubated my own startup, but it didn't go through. At ESSEC Ventures, yeah. So we got funded as well, but it didn't go through at that point in time during my first year. But then we folded that, and then I decided to do a job, and then eventually like Amazon happened, then Flipkart happened, and then like whatever. But yeah, but I think
oh,
so I would so there is no my simple. I know why you asked this question, and for anyone who's listening in and who's a potential student, right? The most important thing an education can give you is knowledge and network, right? Like any
yeah.
institution, college can give you is knowledge, and it's about how much you seek for knowledge. You have to seek, and you have to learn. Knowledge does not come into your laps. You have to seek as much as possible. You have to chase knowledge, and you have to chase network. You have to network with as many number of people, and there cannot be any hesitation. There cannot be any draw in saying that, oh, I don't want to talk to this person, or oh, why is this. There is nothing like that. You have to talk to as many number of people. It does not matter which domain, what they're doing. You have to keep in touch. You have to constantly like bombard people with your queries. You cannot be shy. The world is not for people who are shy. The world is not for people who are like, you'll not, I mean, it is there, but if you want to get ahead, if you want to go ahead in life, I think, and you will never know what you're doing is right or wrong. You just need to believe. You just need to do. And I think eventually things will figure out. Like I have spent 15 years after joining an MBA, right? I still don't know what I'm going to do, or like what will my next venture be successful or not. But I'm still going to do it, right? I could actually work in a
Agreed.
job, something, right? Like, but I still believe that I can create something. I think it's just belief, and it's just seeking. We have to seek, we have to believe, and we have to be happy with what we have and happy with the journey in itself. I think these are all like things that I didn't know before, and I think it has been a journey learning. So what I mean to say in short is that, like, please seek, please chase, please never be in a comfort zone, please put yourself out there. And uh, I think it'll do wonders, and especially international education does wonders because uh, people are not going to spoon feed your um, whatever to you, right? They're not going to tell you that, oh, there is a job, you go there. No, no, you have to go, you have to seek. And I think it's great for people who are like willing to put yourself out there. Mm.
Agreed, agreed. So yes, thanks for Nafa for that insight. And I think my bit networking cannot be its utility cannot be overemphasized. It's very crucial. Even if we take Indian institutions, whether IITs and IIMs, I would say that I was fortunate enough to be part of those. But even after, let's say, after a year, when the brand, when you have taken job from the campus, after that, when you have to take subsequent roles, you have to rely on that network, and that network is only something which is going to sustain. So, networking, interacting with people, as Padmanabhan said, without having a hesitation, without thinking, okay, whether my questions are very stupid or not, one should take initiative. And and that is where I would like to get insights from Padmanabhan. Of course, he is much more mature entrepreneur than I am. And he saw his Vogo journey through COVID, through I think you also had flood where a lot of vehicles you guys had to, I think a lot of issue with the inventory, but successfully they were acquired by Chalo. So if you could just talk about that journey and how maybe those experiences which you had through all these jobs, through seeing things in Paris when being on your own, how did these help you continue? Because usually the startup have a very short lifespan, but you guys carried on for quite a while and successfully, I would say, made exit. So if you could just share some thoughts around that.
Cool. So see, so I started working, and then I was on Amazon, then I was in Flipkart, right? So and as I said, when I started in ESSEC, I actually incubated a company at ESSEC Ventures. So ESSEC has this incubator called as ESSEC Ventures, where ESSEC basically incubates students who want to start up their idea, and they, depending on how the whatever the entire profile of the startup and all of that, they give some sort of support, right? Like it could be some sort of scholarship, whatever. So we incubated, me and another guy from ESSEC. We met in the first year when, and we decided to start up, and we incubated our first startup there. But however, it didn't take off. So the first startup, ironically, was a e-commerce book selling startup in India. We called it as Hayuri, and it was supposed to sell books in India in 2008. So this was the point in time Flipkart also had started selling books in India online. Right, this is 2000. So we had started this 2000 in 2008, but however we folded in 2009 only because we were very lost. Like we didn't know how to like move forward, right? So we were very scared. I was 22, so I was really scared that I will not have my MBA nor have any startup. Like I will like completely go, I'll crash, right? So that is why I didn't do it. So entrepreneurship was always in my head, right? Like I didn't want to like work in a company, but then since I like because of whatever, right? Like I had to like pay for myself, my existence and all. So I had to work. So I had also save some money. So that is how like jobs happened. Amazon happened, then Flipkart happened. But Flipkart was a very turning point in my career because Flipkart was a very entrepreneurial company. So everything was completely have to be built up by the managers themselves. Like, oh, go and launch a category, go and launch a warehouse, go and do this, go and do that. Like they will not, like there's no set process. So we were just basically allocated some budget and we were asked to execute, right? So there's a lot of execution for us, right? And I used to like be on multiple roles, and I did a lot of these things. And during that time I developed a lot of this confidence that was lacking in me. Entrepreneurship was always in me, but the confidence was lacking. And I built up that confidence of saying that yes, I can execute for sure. And I will go down and execute. So we started ideating, me and a friend of mine who was also so he's also my co-founder, who is also from IIM Ahmedabad. He's your batchmate, right? So
Yeah,
uh,
Anand Ayyadure.
Anand, so we both met at Flipkart, and we used to speak a lot about starting up and all of this thing. And eventually we started up. I'll not get into the details of how Vogo happened and all, but we started up.
Sure.
And initial days of Vogo was a lot of hustle, right? It was about meeting people. I have to create business basically, right? I have to figure out how to create business, how to, like, it's all about net again, right? Networking, right? And networking at any level, right? I used to talk to people on the road, like for example executives. Like I have to hire executives, right? People, right? How do you hire? Like I didn't have any capital to say, oh, let me tie up with an agency and do fancy things, right? So we used to go on the road, and I used to go and talk to people who are working in some garage somewhere or something, and I used to go and tell, oh, I'm starting this, I'm doing this, you want to come and join kya? Aise karke, like, we used to like get one by one. We got one guy, and then he referred another guy, so we built a team. It's all networking at every level, right? Like even getting a loan was networking. We had friends, we spoke to them, we got some money, we got this. So everything at the end of the day about starting a business was just pure networking. And I think net, I if I if that opening up culture was not there in me, like if me as a person could not have spoken to people, I would never have been able to network, right? Like, or talk and like get things done. It's also about selling, right? You're selling yourself, you're selling your idea to everybody. It's not about selling an idea to an investor and getting money from an investor. It's about selling an idea to an employee. It's about selling an idea to your client, to your customer. So you're selling yourself, right? You're selling the idea. And so for selling the idea, you have to like believe in the idea, and you also have to be able to talk, right? Like, and say that, yeah, right or wrong, you can think I'm an idiot, it does not matter to me. There's somebody who will think I'm okay, I'm decent enough to believe in, right? And that guy, till I find, I'll keep talking. So that is a fundamental trait that I think was not in me, and I think I learned that trait. And I would attribute a lot of it in my MBA days, right? I don't think I was a very smart student. I was a very average student. But I think what I picked up as a very key skill is like putting myself out there, right? Like basically talking and saying
Great.
that I'm okay to speak my mind. I'm okay to, and I believe very strongly in what I'm doing, and I'm okay to speak that. And people believe it. Otherwise, they don't. I'm okay with that as well, right? So that is how
Mhm.
Vogo. It was a lot of on the ground, and we were a nobody. I mean, to be honest, right? We were a nobody in 2015 when I was in the ground. Nobody used to take us seriously, right? This is not like the VCs or anybody who took us seriously. We were like two mid-level employees out of Flipkart, and nobody like bothered giving us like, oh, this is like, it's not like that, right? It's about gaining that credibility in the market. So we used to go there, we used to
Agreed.
put ourselves there, we used to speak. Slowly we created a business. It was a very small business. I still remember that we bought one scooter. We went outside a university campus. We printed 100 leaflets. We went and gave leaflets to everybody, right? And said, there's a scooter rental. भैया scooter rental है, ये number पे call करो, आपको scooter मिल जाएगा. सबको पर्ची बांट के, we used to stand outside the hostel. We put it and we'll sit, right? And then we'll get a call. We'll pick up. हाँ भैया मिल जाएगा. Then we'll go and give the scooter, and then we'll come back. So that's how we started the first scooter. And after that, we bought 10 scooters, right? And then we bought 20 scooters, then we bought 100 scooters. And then, like, eventually that model worked, right? Like, we built a hardware, we made it autonomous. Like, everything is a journey, one step after the other. And everything happened because we were always out there thinking about what we can do better, what we can do better, whom can we contact, how can we, like, talk to that guy, how can we make this guy believe in this so that he will come and do something for me. And all of this has to be done in a shoestring budget as well, right? So I think it's all about that, right? It's more than anything.
Great, great. No, thank you, thank you. It was a great journey and a lot of, I would say, ups and downs you all went. And I would say that you emerged victorious. So kudos to all your efforts. And I have known that you are very resilient, even during whatever short stint I had, and then again next stint. I saw you all and Srinivas. So subsequently, I have requested him to be also sometime in the session. Uh,
Nice.
okay, so in case you have to pick couple of things out of your journey so far, what your advices would be to aspiring students who are planning to have academic immersion abroad? What advices you would have for them in order to make most out of it?
Um, I mean, I wouldn't say anything different from what I've said till now. I think one of the things is, I think in all of the MBA programs, they ask you to write a letter of a statement of purpose, which basically says what do you do, what do you do in the next 5 years? How do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Right? It's something that I think for every MBA program this is very applicable, and I think that is one of the most serious things that we take it very lightly. And if I would have known that back then, we would be absolutely wrong in getting it right, like writing that. But I think thinking of a lot about what you want to do in the next 5 years, 10 years, at least directionally, saying that okay, in the next 5 to 10 years, I want to see myself as XYZ. And it could be anything, it could be strategic, it could be financial, it could be a combination of both. But writing down a few lines of what I want to be in the next 5 to 10 years, and this is what I want to be, will give you a very directional heading for anybody. Like I do this to myself. I didn't do it seriously when I applied for my MBA, because I was a completely like lost kid back then. But once I did my MBA and I started getting my experience, I started writing myself a goal, right? A short term goal and a long term goal. I said that in the next 1 to 2 years, 3 years, this is what I would want to achieve for myself, like personally and professionally. It's very, very important. You also have to have personal growth and professional growth. So anybody who is wanting to aspire to do that, they should write this down, saying that what do they want to get out of going to, do an MBA. It's a very costly affair, right? You spend lakhs and lakhs. You probably spend 30, 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs out of, like, it's a very, very expensive affair. So if you're going to spend 40, 50 lakhs investment, some people have to be extremely clear. It's not an escape from what you're doing today. It's not like my job sucks today, so I need to like do this, and like, no, that is not why you're doing an MBA. You have to be very clear about what your goals are. And even though it's very, very difficult to do it, but you have to put a lot of thought into being directional about it. And once you get the directionality of what you want to do in terms of purpose, your goals, right? Then you will know why you're doing the MBA and what MBA do you need to do. Like, what do you need to study? What courses you need to pick? What credits you need to do? And how you have to tune yourself and discover yourself, right? So that you get to your goals, right? This is what I would advise. Please be very, very clear about your goals in the short and in the long term, so that you are directionally headed there and you can get maximum out of your MBA. Like after your any masters, not only MBA, right? Any masters that you want to do. This would be my like short advice.
Great, great. So thanks, Padmanabhan, for all these insights. My best wishes for your next venture. Of course, we will. I keep on following what all activities you are involved in. So, and
Thank
I
you
would
so
say
much.
it's really inspiring. So, and thanks a lot for taking your time on almost we are at the end of the new year. So, very happy new year and wonderful and great success in the new year.
Thank you
And
so much.
also to the
Happy New
audience.
Year. So, yeah.
Yeah. So from Padmanabhan side also, Happy New Year. And I would say that from my side also Happy New Year to everyone. We'll again next week we will connect and have another of my friends, colleagues who would be sharing his or her thoughts. And I would say that technology in a way has bridged a lot of gaps. So I was just testing a lot of softwares in order to maybe make such kind of meetings more smoother. And I would say that I'm using the free version of StreamYard. And I would say thanks to StreamYard, we are able to very seamlessly able to connect. So, and such kind of, I would say, enterprising institutions, individuals, and of course, Padmanabhan's work represent that also. Electric vehicles are now becoming mainstream. I have an electric scooty for almost 2.5 years now, and I'm very happy. I've never touched back my motorcycle after purchasing it. So, I think such kind of disruption, such kind of ideas, innovations are needed. And thanks, Padmanabhan, and of course, Godspeed to your next journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Siddhartha. Thank you. Happy New Year to you and everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
thanks. Okay, so you can disconnect. I think leave studio option is there. Okay, and
Okay.
have a very nice evening. Okay,
Yeah, you too.
bye. Take
Bye.
care. Good night.
Good night.